Hello, and welcome to today's NinjaTrader ecosystem event, How to Keep Decisions Ahead of the Market with Raymond of Trust1st. My name is Juanita, and I am the platform representative at NinjaTrader. Before we get started with the webinar, I would like to go over a few housekeeping items. This webinar is presented by NinjaTrader LLC, which is the technology company responsible for developing and supporting the NinjaTrader trading software. Any brokerage-related questions should be directed directly to the NinjaTrader brokerage using the following phone number and email address on the screen. Lastly, if you are new to NinjaTrader, please make sure you sign up for a free NinjaTrader demo with real-time market data. Our platform is always free for advanced charting, strategy testing, and trade simulation. You can get a free live demo account by following the link on the screen. Before I turn the mic over to Raymond, it is important to understand that futures, foreign currency, and options trading consists of substantial risk and is not suitable for every investor. It is also possible to lose all funds deposited with your broker and could even incur losses beyond this amount. Risk capital is money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security and lifestyle. Only risk capital should be used for trading, and only those with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Also, please remember that these training sessions are not a solicitation nor a recommendation, but simply educational in nature. Thank you again for joining us today. And without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome to the NinjaTrader webinar room, Raymond. Go ahead and take it away.
Juanita, thank you for that. And I appreciate everyone making the time to be here. We're all set. Okay, so thanks again for making the time to be here. I'm going to teach you how to secure trading success. And that's what happens when traders stop painting the outhouse and start painting the barn. And what I mean by that is it's a given to develop knowledge and competency as a trader, but what we're not aware of is a need to strengthen the behaviors that make us most effective at developing knowledge and competency. It's that learning gap that keep us from success. Figuring out price direction isn't that hard. The tough part comes is having, when we need to have the awareness to recognize when the market has aligned with our strategy, and then the strong conviction to execute as intended. What ends up happening, and if you've spent any time trading at all, you've been frustrated by getting in too soon and getting stopped out, or not recognizing the alignment and end up chasing the market and miss out, or you get in and you take profits out of necessity to make up for losses. You're happy to get back to even and miss out on a significant profit opportunity. Those are all very, very common experiences, and they all come simply because we don't trust ourselves to the degree that we do. You know, when you come to any new undertaking, you're going to have anxiety, frustration, and stress until you have certainty that you're making the most out of your talent, time, effort, resources. And that certainty comes when you can draw straight lines to how you're best directing and supporting improvement in performance. And I'm going to teach you how to draw those straight lines and follow this path. It's going to be just a massive improvement to your development and performance, because you're going to have high sensitivity for preparedness that's going to precisely target effort, really accelerate the process, and move up the probability by a lot that you're taking intelligent risk. So I'd like you to do a couple of things to make the most out of this presentation. And the first is get a piece of paper and write down my website, Trust1st.com. On the homepage, about halfway down, you'll see a video series, 10 videos, 10 steps to trading success. And what I'm presenting today is pretty much a synopsis of those 10 videos. So I would encourage all of you to go to Trust1st.com and look at those videos individually. The next thing I'd like you to do is answer 3 questions to really set the stage for what I'm going to take you through today. And these answers are private to you. You're not going to post them, share them with anybody. So on a scale of 1 to 10, just provide a score for each answer. Make sure you put it down there so it's staring you in the face. Again, you're not going to share it, so be brutally honest. So the first question is, how well do you understand the power of unconscious behavior? Scale of 1 to 10. How well do you understand the power of unconscious behavior? Second question, how well do you understand the behaviors triggering peak performance? How well do you understand the behaviors triggering peak performance? And then the third is, how deep is your understanding of trust, power, and construction? How deep is your understanding of trust, power, and construction? So 3 questions, you should have a score for each. Again, the first, how well do you understand the power of unconscious behavior? The second, how well do you understand the behaviors triggering peak performance? And the third, how deep is your understanding of trust, power, and construction? So I want to talk about the power of unconscious behavior first. And I'm going to use professional athletes to make the point. At that pro level, everyone has the necessary balance of size, strength, speed, skill, and smarts to compete. And the differentiator is who makes the most plays, right? The best players, and the team that makes the most plays win. So I want you to think about Wayne Gretzky, Henry Aaron, Michael Jordan, Joe Montana, who has really been displaced now by Tom Brady as a GOAT. And none of these folks could physically dominate. They all became the greatest of all time in their sport because of their ability to consistently see and do before others, best anticipate and take advantage of competitive opportunity. Gretzky and Henry Aaron were the same size. They were both 6 feet, 180 pounds, certainly not going to dominate. But Gretzky had superior awareness for the open ice and how to set up his line mates. Aaron's superior awareness for how the pitcher was going to work the count to anticipate pitch and location. Jordan, just superior court awareness. I had the good fortune, I had season tickets for the Bulls from 87 through 99. I sat 12 rows off the end of the court at the stadium and 7 rows when we went to the United Center. And again, Jordan was just so much more aware than anybody else on the court. You know, LeBron can physically dominate. Jordan dominated because he had superior awareness. And the same thing for Montana and Brady. Brady even more so, superior field awareness, understanding the defense, where the receiver was going to break open. And Brady just has the greatest pocket presence ever. I mean, it's just unbelievable watching him buy time and move around in the pocket. But those are all powerful examples of high intuitive function. So at the highest level in sport, that's the ultimate differentiator. And I'm pretty certain if you went up and asked any of one of them to have a conversation on high intuitive function, I don't know how many would connect the dots. Maybe they would call it being in the zone, because that's what other folks refer to as peak performance. But the good news is there's a path that gives you the understanding, the knowledge, the tools to strengthen the behaviors that develop high intuitive function that lead to the superior awareness triggering peak performance. And when you have that knowledge, you can increase the frequency. Instead of it happening maybe a handful of times a year, you can have it happen a couple times a day. And that's pretty amazing. And again, I'm going to go into greater detail. So how do I know this? Well, I started trading in 1983, and I thought I was really well prepared, having attended the University of Illinois, which was the top accounting school in the country at the time, graduated, got my CPA, and Arthur Andersen hired me, which was the top firms among the big eight. They taught me their best practices. And after about a year and a half there, I got really good at finding the truth quickly. And I took that skill set to the floor of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Thought I was really well prepared. Plus 6'2", 200 pounds myself, probably a little bit more than that right now. But anyway, physical presence, could hold my own in the pit, and certainly competitive nature. But after 18 months, I was ready to quit. Was breaking even, but I was burnt out. I was doing tax and write-up work evenings and weekends. I was usually at the exchange before 7:30. I'd go to the library after the close, and just so frustrated from unrewarded effort, if you will. And I'm sure many of you have experienced that. So I was going to walk away. I was going to go be a carpenter, make stuff. I had uncles that were carpenters, and figured I would really enjoy that, have plenty of time to drink beer and have fun versus what I've been going through the last 18 months. And anyway, I decided I had to give myself 6 more months on the condition that each day I had to draw straight lines as to why I was trusting myself more. I had no problem figuring out the direction of the market. My problem was it either being too early or too late, or then once I was in a good trade, not taking advantage of it because I had to take profits to cover my losses. So I've experienced all of these things. And the thing that really allowed me to break through was understanding that I had to do a much better job of building and earning trust, because that's what allows us to tap into that unconscious behavior. We're all intuitive in what we do, applying our skill, knowledge, and experience. And when we can increase intuitive function from a low to a high level, that's where we can get that superior awareness that triggers peak performance. So it took me a while, but I figured that out. And I've been sharing it commercially with people since 2009. And again, that's what I'm going to step you through. But again, I'm sure many of you have experienced the frustration, and the best way to understand it, and this goes to that third question, how deep your understanding is of trust, power, and construction. I realized, despite all my education and then Andersen's best practices and competitive experiences and all the coaches and teammates that helped me, the guys, the upperclassmen when I was in college. I had a thimble when I needed a bucketful or more of understanding of trust, power, and construction. And my sense is that that's pretty much true for everybody. And that's what I validated time and time again since commercial deployment of this in 2009. So next thing I want to talk about is the thing that you guys can do that's going to bring you the greatest benefit in the shortest period of time. And that's breaking down your strategy and keep going deeper and deeper, understanding how your strategy is giving you competitive advantage against the other folks in the market. And just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. That's the best way to understand how much you trust yourself. That trust is what allows you to increase intuitive function. In other words, the more we trust, the deeper we get into alpha. And the deepest levels of alpha are the highest intuitive function. And so the best way for you guys to get there is something that every one of you can do right now at the end of this webinar, to start breaking down your strategy and getting as specific as you can as how it positions you at advantage over the other folks in the market, how it positions you at advantage over institution traders, high freak traders, fair value traders, other retail traders blind to market dynamics. You should be able to do that and go deeper and deeper and deeper. So again, that's the best thing you can do, because you're going to be drawing straight lines to how you're putting yourself at advantage in the trading arena. And if you can't do it, that's showing you big gaps that you need to fill right from the get-go. So this is my favorite quote. I have a couple of them, but this is my favorite. Don't only practice your art, force your way into its secrets, for it knowledge can raise mankind to the divine. That's what I had to do to survive as a trader. I had to force my way into the secrets. Again, I'm a pretty intelligent guy. Obviously, to get through Illinois, CPA, Arthur Anderson, to compete as an athlete, right? And I'm just like, I'm thinking to myself, I have got everything it takes. What am I missing? And the thing that I was missing is I was assuming that I knew way more than I did about trust, power, and construction. And once I let go of that and started going deeper and deeper and deeper, everything began to change. So another thing that you guys can do is really make a conscious effort to stay connected to the historical knowledge, the foundation of your beliefs. You know, every day, historical knowledge is under attack. And that historical knowledge is in the analog world. That's where we have access to all of our senses, our full potential. That historical knowledge, the foundation of our beliefs, has validated itself generation after generation by improving the human condition most effectively. Another way to look at it, it's absolute truths that keep leading us to the work that matters most and preparing us to do it best. And it's in doing the work that matters most, preparing to do it best, and having the payoff by having high sensitivity for our preparedness, being precisely targeted in our effort. That's where we build that trust up and up. That's where we secure our independence. Independent thinking unlocks our creativity and imagination. That's what we need to have a strategy that's superior to others in the market. It's that independent thinking that gets us outside of ourselves to develop that superior awareness, triggering peak performance. And I'm going to break that down in a minute. So we're conditioned through messaging that, hey, the be all end all is a digital world. And for trading, that's where we get the majority of our information, and certainly where we interact to trade. But the trick is to stay detached to the point that we remain independent. And to do that, we have to be anchored in the analog world to our historical knowledge. We can't let this messaging that is getting stronger and stronger by the day through false narratives and the weaponizing of machine learning and AI, which is all engineered, and I go into it in my training. But we have to neutralize that. That's what keeps us attached, anchored in that analog world with the superior awareness we need to outperform in the digital world. And I know this is a little complex, but the secret is being able to move seamlessly from the analog to the digital and back and forth. And that only happens when we have great trust. And that trust comes from being able to draw straight lines to how we're best directing and supporting improvement performance. There's no doubt that we're maximizing our talent, time, effort, and resources. So the big takeaway here is trust, not technology, determines how fast and well we filter, process, and apply information. And I can't emphasize that enough. You don't get that messaging because it's counter to the messaging that we need, the fastest hardware, the best software, and all of these other things when they don't have any value unless we have the independence, the self-trust to project expectations. That's what keeps us ahead of price. It's that future vision. Just like as an athlete, we have a future vision that's unconsciously triggering our actions. So why is the brain the only mechanism? Or I should say, some real big points to lock in on. And the first is the brain's the only mechanism capable of integrating the mind, heart, and gut to know who, what, when to trust. Technology absolutely cannot do that. The mind is responsible for the analysis, decision, action cycle. The heart harmonizes the physical and spiritual world. And the gut connects us to instinct, unconscious behaviors shared by a species necessary to its survival. So AI, or if you're thinking about getting chipped, that's only going to help the mind with the analysis, decision, action cycle. It can't harmonize the physical and spiritual world. It can't connect us to that primal instinct our survival is dependent on. And what do you think AI would do when it realizes it can't compete with the heart and the gut? It would find a way to cut it out. And then we would just become a droid. So really puts into perspective when you're thinking, hey, you know, I'm having a hard time keeping up. I'll just supplement my intelligence with some neural link or chip and I'll be fine. You'll give up your independence even more. So again, it's that trust. Again, think about your best day. You know, not necessarily trading if you don't have a lot of experience, but away from trading as a professional. Information's flowing to and through you. That's the hallmark of a professional. That's happening because people trust you. You trust the people and systems you're interacting with. Without trust, it all comes to a grinding halt. And our ability to build and earn trust is assumed. I guarantee you, no matter where you went to school, you know, you had ethics classes to make character, commitment, transparent, very important. But no one taught you how to accelerate improvement to keep up with advancing technology. What does advancing technology do? It keeps increasing information and events. We can count on it. And we're getting this logjam, especially now with the Internet of Things deploying radio frequency identifier technology. That's generating tens of thousands of unique user data points. That's what fuels machine learning and AI. They harvest that, they use it to profile and target for financial political gain. They accomplish that just by overwhelming us with information and events. That's how they take away our independence. So if you're spending time chasing now, one of the tests that you can do is think about your work, social, personal life, trader development in there collectively. And that collective, how much time do you spend chasing versus keeping up? In other words, if you're chasing 40%, keeping up 60%, your ratio is 40-60. Imagine going to 30-70, that would be life-changing. That would be a 20% improvement. Then going to 20-80 and 10-90. And that's what this 120-day process does if you follow it. And again, you can start it by just going deep, deep, deep on your strategy. So again, trust erodes proportionately to this increasing information and events unless we speed this up to keep up. And working out your ratio, chasing versus keeping up with events, gives you a real good idea of where you stand. And keep in mind, RFID technology is just getting going. So again, we want to anchor in that analog world. That's where we find the truth. That's where we have our full potential. That's where we gain the independence that unlocks our creativity and imagination. Have that future vision to stay ahead of price. So I want to talk about superior awareness so it's clear as to what that is. Again, The more we trust, the faster we get through the analysis, decision, action cycle. So again, strengthening those behaviors that cause us to assimilate knowledge, develop competency most effectively. That's what speeds up this analysis, decision, action cycle. And it gets to a point we move from wherever we're at to high intuitive function. We're most efficient. We've maximized our effort. And that develops superior awareness that triggers peak performance. Now, superior awareness projects expectations tightly aligned with events as they occur. It allows us to see details in high def, make precise adjustments, securing the outcomes desired. Think about the athlete after a great game. They talk about seeing things in slow motion, having all the time to make the play. Well, superior awareness, projecting expectations tightly aligned with events, seeing details in high def, slow motion, having all the time to make the play, precise adjustments, securing outcomes desired. Imagine having that power as a trader. Being so clear on the alignment that you need between the market and your strategy that you can see it setting up in slow motion. You're unconsciously moving in and out of the market. And that happens because we trust ourselves. You're constantly making the play like Gretzky, Aaron, Jordan, and Brady. And again, it's because you understand, you've strengthened those behaviors that make you most effective at developing your knowledge and competency, doing the work that matters most. You have that high sensitivity for preparedness, precisely targeting your effort. And that changes everything. So peak performance is what accelerates improvement. And what happens when we experience peak performance? It's validating the beliefs and behaviors responsible for our success, right? We feel really good about ourselves. We're doing the right thing. We're maximizing talent, time, effort, and resources. We want to keep doing more and more of that. We're even more committed, more energy. And it's that energy that comes from that validation that allows us to see the next opportunity sooner and make more out of it. And so when we strengthen those behaviors that best direct and support improvement in performance, develop high intuitive function, what we're doing is embedding the improvement acceleration loop, that high intuitive function, developing superior awareness, triggering peak performance. That's how we realize our potential. And then that gives the validation to see the next opportunity sooner, make more out of it, accelerating improvement. It's also validating our process. So we have that much more confidence to look for the gaps, to improve our process for unaccounted variables, because what happens as the volume and speed of information and events keeps increasing because of technology, there's a boatload more of gaps that we have to fill, a boatload more variables we haven't accounted for. And this is why people are going to get run over as IoT matures, because they have no idea of what's coming. They're going along on a 1 level when they have to get to a 7 or an 8 or a 9 to remain competitive. And the window to do that is closing fast. Again, just look at your own ratio, chasing versus keeping up. It's really a great indicator of how much you trust yourself, the folks and systems that you interact with. Again, it's all about trust. And when you know how to strengthen these behaviors that cause us to assimilate knowledge, develop competency most effectively, these are the behaviors that are anchoring us in the analog world, securing our independence. That's the key. And answering those first 3 questions, if you don't have great understanding for the power of unconscious behavior, the behaviors triggering peak performance, or deep understanding of trust, power, and construction, you have a tremendous opportunity to accelerate your development and dramatically improve your performance, become incredibly more efficient in everything you do. So Juanita, what I want to do is open it up for Q&A here. I'm about 30 minutes in, and if you're with me and can moderate, look at the chat and let me know what's going on, that would be great. Let me see what happens when I click on chat. Okay, it's opening up for me. All right, so let me scoot up here. All right, I'm not seeing any questions. I appreciate the excellent presentation and great presentation so far. So does anybody have any questions? I know this is very high level stuff, but please know in my training, I really break it down so it's efficient. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes, but I want to answer questions right now and can't encourage you guys enough to do that. You know, the reality of it is we're all experiencing the greatest political, social, scientific uncertainty of a lifetime. And then you factor that in, or you then factor in the weaponizing of machine learning and AI to manipulate us, the false narratives, the censorship, the deplatforming, and everything else. And it's just, and wouldn't be normal if you weren't overwhelmed. Some of the people that have gone through the training since 2009, traders, financial, engineering, process improvement, intelligence officers, business, and legal professionals have all gone through my training. So broad spectrum since 2009, and consistently earns high marks, 5-star ratings. You can go to trust1st.com, click on About, and you'll get to the customer comments and the reviews. Do I have a method to achieve this trust you just talked about? Yes, it's called, I created the Intuitive Development Training Core, and it's 40 hours over 4 months. It's my basic training program. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute when we get through Q&A. I'm going to do Q&A for about another 6 minutes. And then I'm going to go ahead and talk about that training option. Is there a preference on what time frame you look at to see your trade setting up versus what time you're pulling the trigger? Well, it's a combination of things. Higher time frames influence lower time frames. And so we always start with the higher time frames because the Achilles heel of traders, both starting out and established, is they lose track of what's happening with the fundamentals, the things that hold the potential to impact price, and then also the higher time frames. So when they lose track, they can't take intelligent risk, and they end up minimizing when the opportunities are there to maximize profit. So it's a collective. In other words, you can't just look at one thing. And so, and I will tell you that there's a time frame that I believe is a sweet spot, and I talk about that in my advanced training. And I validate that through the tools that I use and my proprietary calculations, which I teach. But that's all available in my advanced training. But the big takeaway is you can't look at one time frame. You have to start with the higher time frames, work your way down, and your strategy's got to be connected all the way through. That gives you the great certainty that you've put yourself in the best position to anticipate, take advantage of price movement. You're not looking over your shoulder. So again, please take advantage of this. Mostly trading stocks, options, or futures markets. My clients trade all three. I have stock traders, I have options traders, I have futures traders. Options traders use my methodology, my proprietary calculation for really pricing out their strategy. What I teach can be applied to any actively traded futures contract or stock. The teaching examples are ES oil, gold, the 10-year note. And then I also cover the NASDAQ in the daily briefing. Steve, you're welcome. You know, again, the thing that's not talked about is how fast change is accelerating, its impact, and how to prepare. And I can't state this with greater emphasis. However fast you think change is accelerating, multiply it by probably a factor of 10. Whatever you think its impact is, again, multiply it by a factor of 10. To give that a little perspective, there's been 3 accelerations. The first happened in the late 90s when email replaced the fax machine. That exponentially increased the power of communication. It was incredibly disruptive. That's when engagement and culture became a thing. Gallup's has been tracking engagement since 2000. And we've only improved 25% over 20 years. That works out to about 1.25% for the US workforce. You can imagine how much faster technologies advance. The second acceleration came in 2009 when 4G increased the internet speed by 10x to power the smartphone. That blew up social media. Social media generated all the unique user data points that got machine learning and AI off the bench to harvest, profile, target for financial and political gain. And now what's happening with the Internet of Things, 5G increasing 4G internet speed by 100x to make RFID technology, autonomous driving, all of these things provide the bandwidth for all of it. The just massive increase to unique user data points is just going to put machine learning and AI, the weaponization of it, on steroids. And don't get me wrong, ML and AI are used for a boatload of really good things. But there's a very small group that have weaponized it, and they've made it just incredibly efficient, and it's brutal. There's a big part to why you're chasing instead of keeping up, why we have such a limited understanding of trust, power, and construction, the behaviors triggering peak performance, and the power of unconscious behavior. They've gone out of their way to engineer, block our awareness for that power because they don't want to have to compete with us. They don't want us to be independent. One of my clients is in here today, John, and he's just saying good things. Basically, basic training gives you a deep understanding of yourself and how to improve. Advanced training on how the markets are structured and behave, giving you useful tools to quickly understand and better structure your strategy and approach. And one of the big things that advanced training does, it really improves information management. And it's so easily to get overwhelmed by all the information that we have to deal with as traders. All right. If another question comes in, I'll answer it. I just want to talk about basic training for a minute so you guys know what you can do. Think of it recommended best steps or next steps. Again, top of the list, go deep on your strategy. And when you think you can't go any deeper, walk away and then come back, you'll go deeper again. Remember, both Socrates and Confucius are credited with writing, the wiser a man becomes, the more he knows that he doesn't know. The secret to securing success is appreciating just how significant that opportunity is to go to a deeper place of understanding for what you believe you already know. Remember Beethoven, force your way into its secrets. So basic training takes care of all the objectives laid out in this presentation. And it shows you how to strengthen the behaviors that increase intuitive function, get to high intuitive function, triggering peak performance. It gives you scientific understanding of how you're maximizing your talent, time, effort, and resources. And that gives you just great certainty, confidence, commitment, anxiety, frustration, stress are just knocked way, way down. So basic training is 40 hours over 4 months. The first 20 hours are expected to be completed over the first 4 weeks. That gives you everything you need to know to develop and support high intuitive function. It's 6.5 hours of instruction broken out into 18 on-demand modules with about 14 hours of exercises. The exercises are what create the alignment and knowledge and tools to develop and support high intuitive function. You learn how to take apart, rebuild, add horsepower to that cognitive engine. And over the first couple of hours, you gain tremendous benefit just by understanding how to neutralize efforts to control you. You gain tools that really allow you to take back your power and control your internal and external focus, just really increase sensitivity for preparedness and get squared away right from the first couple hours of the training. So the lion's share of it, that first 20 hours over the first 4 weeks, it works out to about 5 hours a week. And at the end of that, you'll have everything you need to embed that improvement acceleration loop. Again, high intuitive function, developing superior awareness, triggering peak performance, and that we realize our potential and that accelerates improvement. And the second part is 20 hours over 3 months, 12 weeks, 1 reflection each weekday, 60 total. And what that's doing is it's guiding practical application. It's fine-tuning that cognitive engine to your specific needs. You can think of each week as a chapter in a book showing you how much more you're capable of in experiencing it. And then the other thing that's going on, not only can you learn through the on-demand instruction, but purchase of basic training also gets you access to the live instruction that's happening in November on Tuesday evenings on the 2nd, 9th, 16th, and 23rd. So it ends that Tuesday before Thanksgiving. But we go from 7:30 to 10 o'clock Central. It's 10 hours of total instruction. So it's, if you're serious about your success, if you're serious about being anchored in that analog world so you have control, that you're independent, you have your creativity, you have your imagination, you have that power to project, to stay ahead of price, then start basic training as soon as you can today and get through that on-demand instruction, get started on the exercises, and you'll make the most out of that live training, which starts on November 2nd. Again, that's 7:30 to 10 o'clock Central Time. And again, go to the website, Trust1st.com. If you click on About, you'll see the customer comments. You'll see a link to the reviews. If you click on store and sign in, it'll take you into the store, and basic training's the first thing listed. Also, third of each month, just did it this last Saturday. I have a Saturday review where I start a discussion tying the training to specific events, the advantage, the power it's giving us, and then we have a discussion. So it's, again, just reinforcing practical application that much more. So what's happening as you complete this training, you're filling this gap that is keeping us from our potential. Again, people go through this training. I've had elite military professionals, fighter pilots, intelligence officers. Nobody trains better than the military. And they've all consistently said the same thing. They can't believe they didn't get this training. I've had team guys go through my training. And again, you just are amazed that the military didn't figure this out. So this is that cognitive engine I've been talking about. It's obfuscated because it would just not have any benefit without explanation and development of the relationships. But this is the power you gain when you understand all of this, and people are blown away. They go through the training. The first time, it's a bit of a roller coaster, really excited about what's possible, really aggravated that nobody gave them this information before. And they get tremendous benefit out of it. You have access for a full year, so you can repeat the training, and people do a second, third, and fourth time. And you'll see that in the description. But it's, again, it's been working since 2009 and just keeps getting better and better. So you go to Trust1st.com for more details. Again, click on About to read customer comments and reviews, store and sign in to view the product. Most important of all, use this coupon code NINJA in capitals and then 250, NINJA 250. That'll reduce the cost of basic training from $697 to $447. In other words, when you go to checkout, you'll get to the, I believe, the third payment window, and on the left-hand side, it'll ask if you have a coupon code. And then you enter NINJA, all in caps, 250, hit apply. It'll drop your cost from $697 to $447. And if you go there, you'll also see there's another bonus offered for the purchase of basic training. It's pretty significant, but you've got to go into the store to see it. So any other questions? John, I appreciate you chiming in. Again, you can email me, rhbltrading@svcglobal.net. Also on my, in the contact, you'll see an opportunity to set up a meeting with me, a phone call to discuss your development if you want to do that. And also in the store, you'll see other options. You'll see the full year trader development program, the coaching option. That's all in the store. So any other questions, thoughts, comments? Again, I really appreciate everyone making the time to be here. Again, I've been doing this training since 2009. In 97, I co-founded Local Knowledge to help pioneer online trader development. So I've been really doing this for over 20 years, plus my own trading experience going back to 1983. So I've been around the block. I know the pain points. I know how to get people over them. So it's up to you. Just got to make the choice to say, hey, I'm going to step back, put in the foundation I need to be successful. And understand that if you get through the training and realize that, hey, you know, I'm really not aligned to be a trader, you're going to take everything that you learn and it's going to make you better at everything else that you do. Again, once you learn how to develop and support high intuitive function, that's for everything you do. If you're a parent, it's going to allow you to communicate your wisdom to your children. very effectively. Same thing as a coach. Really communicate much more effectively. As a leader, you're going to understand how to develop, communicate, direct, and support expectations much more effectively. In fact, I spend about 5 to 6 hours a day on trading and supporting the education. I probably spend another 6 to 8 hours a day. My other website is theotherai.com on programs for professional training and organizational development. So a lot of validation for this, and experience and feedback tells me, again, you can read the comments and the reviews for yourself, but it's absolutely the best thing you can do to secure the trading success. And again, you can get through the program 40 hours, 4 months, 120 days, changes everything. You just have to strap up and get it done. So any other questions, comments, thoughts? I think I got it in under the wire.
I just want to give a special thank you to Raymond for taking time to share with us today. If you enjoyed today's session, we hope to see you in future webinars. We'd like to remind you the information provided in this was that of Trust1st and not of NinjaTraders. All information is for educational purposes and should not be construed as trading advice. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we hope to see everyone in future webinars. Happy trading from everyone here at the NinjaTrader ecosystem. Thank you again so much, Ray. We enjoyed having you in the room. Have a wonderful afternoon.
You too, Juanita. Thank you so much for having me and everyone making the time.